This started on a Tuesday. I remember that because I'd just gotten back from my third work trip in 2 weeks. I sell commercial HVAC systems, nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills. That Tuesday, I came home early. I had flowers for my wife, Amy, and a Lego set for Sophie because I'd missed her birthday party over the weekend. It was one of those dinky airport gift shop boxes that cost twice what it should, but it had a little astronaut figure in it. Sophie's into space right now. When I walked through the door, Sophie barreled into me before I could even set my bag down. "Daddy," she yelled, clinging to my leg like a starfish. "You're home." "Sure am." I laughed, lifting her into a hug. "Missed you, kiddo." "I missed you too," she said. Then she whispered, "I didn't tell Mommy about the new friend." I paused. "New friend?" She giggled. "Yeah, but it's a secret. Mommy said not to tell you." At the time, I didn't think much of it. Kids invent friends all the time. Sophie's last imaginary pal was a cat named Sandwich who hated broccoli. I figured it was more of the same. I smiled and said, "Well, I won't tell if you won't." Sophie tilted her head, serious. "He has a beard like the guy at the park." My stomach gave a little twist, but again, I brushed it off. Beards aren't rare. I set her down, and we built her Lego rocket ship while Amy was upstairs getting ready for dinner. Looking back, I can't believe how fast I filed that comment away. Tucked it somewhere in the dusty cabinet labeled, probably nothing. But the cabinet door creaked open again later that night. Amy was quieter than usual. We'd been distant lately, I won't lie. Between my work schedule and her managing everything at home, our conversations had turned mostly functional. What's for dinner? Who's picking Sophie up from preschool? Did we pay the electric bill? I chalked it up to us being tired. Life gets busy. Love becomes routine. We had dinner. Lasagna, store-bought. Sophie chatted the whole time about the moon and how Pluto used to be a planet. At one point, she said, "Remember when we went to the lake with the man with the beard?" Amy froze mid-bite. I looked at her, then at Sophie. "What man?" Sophie didn't seem to notice the tension. She smiled, twirling spaghetti on her fork. "Mommy's friend. He made sandwiches and let me wear his hat." Amy laughed. Forced, too loud. "She's talking about a vendor at the farmer's market. Remember, honey? The guy with the sandwich truck?" "Oh," I said slowly. "Sure." But something inside me shifted. That night, after Sophie went to bed, I asked Amy if we could talk. She said she was tired, and I didn't push it. I should have, but part of me didn't want to hear whatever explanation she might offer. Or worse, confirm a suspicion I hadn't yet admitted to myself. The next day, I worked from home. Amy took Sophie to school and then said she had errands. I watched from the front window as she pulled out of the driveway. 10 minutes later, I followed her. I know how that sounds. Creepy, paranoid, but something about the way she laughed at dinner, it felt rehearsed. Like she'd practiced that cover story. She drove across town, past the grocery store and the gas station, and eventually pulled into the parking lot of a small apartment complex. I parked a block away and watched her walk into Building B. She didn't come out for an hour and a half. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, telling myself maybe she was meeting a friend for coffee. Maybe someone needed help with something. I told myself all sorts of lies until she came back out with him. Tall, flannel shirt, full beard. He kissed her. Not on the cheek, not some quick friendly hug. He kissed her like I used to, back when things were good. I didn't drive home right away. I went to this empty strip mall near the highway and parked behind an old dry cleaners. Just sat there, staring at the dashboard, listening to the engine hum. I thought about Sophie's voice, "Mommy kisses the man with the beard," and how I laughed it off like a fool. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat. Still. Numb. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. Not with Sophie around. We watched cartoons, and I pretended everything was fine. But when Amy touched my shoulder, I flinched. I saw the look in her eyes. She noticed. But she didn't say anything. She never was good at hard conversations. Me? I used to believe silence meant peace. That avoiding fights was the same as loving someone well. Turns out, silence just lets things rot in the dark. I needed time. I needed a plan. And I needed to hear more from Sophie, of all people. The next morning, I made her pancakes and asked about her new friend. She was hesitant at first, but I kept it light, like we were just playing a guessing game. "He has a truck," she said. "It smells like dogs. He lets me draw on the window when it gets foggy." "Does Mommy take you to see him a lot?" She nodded. "Sometimes after school when you're gone." I swallowed hard. "Do you like him?" She shrugged. He gives me candy, but he doesn't laugh like you. That one hit me sideways. I told her she could always talk to me. About anything. She nodded, then asked if we could go to the zoo next weekend. Like none of it was strange. Because to her, maybe it wasn't. I don't know how long it had been going on. Weeks? Months? I went back through our calendar, our receipts, her mileage tracker on our shared insurance app. The pieces fell into place faster than I was ready for. Little gaps. Errands that didn't check out. Weekends she said she needed me time. That suddenly made sense. What tore me up the most wasn't the betrayal. It was that our daughter knew. Sophie was navigating a secret her little heart didn't know how to hold. That wasn't fair to her. So I made a choice. I wasn't going to scream or threaten or make some dramatic scene. But I wasn't going to keep pretending either. I needed the truth, from Amy, in her own words. And she needed to know I knew. That night, after Sophie was asleep, I sat Amy down. Her wine glass was already half full. She looked tired, but not in the way I'd seen before. It was more like worn. Guilty, maybe. There's something I need to ask, I said quietly. And I want you to tell me the truth. She looked up. Okay. I took a deep breath. Who's the man with the beard? Her face went pale. The glass trembled slightly in her hand. What? Sophie told me. I saw you with him. There was silence. Then, she sighed. And just like that, the dam broke. Amy didn't say anything for a long while. Her mouth opened, then closed again like she was trying to catch a thought mid-fall. I didn't press her. I just waited, hands folded on the table, the way you wait for a verdict you already know is coming. Finally, she said it. His name's Mark. I nodded. How long? She stared at her glass. 6 months. Maybe more. Is he the first? No. That one hit harder than I thought it would. Not because I hadn't suspected, but because hearing it in her voice made it real. Made it permanent. I didn't mean for it to happen, she added. And I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because that sentence always shows up in these stories, doesn't it? Like infidelity is something you trip over. I kept my voice steady. Does he know you're married? Yes. Does he care? She shrugged. I don't know. Maybe not enough. There was a time I would have argued with her, tried to dissect that response. But I was past needing her reasons. I was here for clarity, not closure. Does Sophie see him often? I asked. She looked up at that, alarmed. Not like that. I never planned it. Sometimes he's just there. She mentioned the lake. Sandwiches. His truck. Amy went pale again. She wasn't supposed to. You told her not to tell me. She didn't deny it. And in that moment, it wasn't just betrayal I felt. It was disappointment. Not just in her, but in myself. I had let my daughter carry the weight of secrecy. I should have seen it sooner. I should have asked more questions. I'm not going to yell, I told her. And I'm not going to make a scene. But this changes everything. Amy's eyes welled, but no tears fell. She had the look of someone who'd already cried everything she had in private. I don't want to break up our family. You already did. She flinched like I'd struck her. I need space, I said. Time to figure out what this means, for Sophie. For me. What are you saying? I'm not sure yet. But I'm staying at a motel for a few days. I'll check in with Sophie every day. And when I come back, we're going to decide what happens next. Together. She nodded. Didn't fight it. That told me everything I needed to know about where we stood. I packed a duffel bag and left that night. The first morning in that motel, I called Sophie. Just to hear her voice. She told me she missed me and asked if we could still build her rocket ship on Saturday. I told her we'd build something even bigger next time. She liked that. It's strange, the things you miss. Not the house or the bed, not even the routine. I missed the sound of her laugh echoing through the hall. I missed brushing the crumbs off her chin at breakfast. And I missed the feeling of being someone she didn't have to protect. Amy texted me the next day. Not to apologize again, not with some big speech, but just a single line. She's asking about you. I asked her not to bring Sophie around Mark anymore. Not until we figured things out. She agreed. I don't know if it was guilt or relief. On day 4, I came back. Sophie hugged me like I'd been gone a year. Amy stood in the hallway, watching, not speaking. We didn't talk that night. Just passed each other quietly, like people walking through a museum of their own mistakes. The next morning, I took Sophie to the park. Daddy, she said as we sat by the swings. Are you mad at Mommy? I shook my head. No, honey. Grown-ups just have a lot of things to figure out sometimes. She thought about that, then said, Is it because of the man with the beard? Kids. They don't waste time. Yeah, I said honestly. That's part of it. She nodded. He's not fun. You're more fun. That made me smile, even if just a little. I told her, thanks, kiddo. That means a lot. We swung in silence for a while, and I realized I had a decision to make. Not just about Amy, but about the kind of life I wanted Sophie to grow up in. Later that week, Amy and I sat down at the kitchen table. No wine, no TV, just two people who used to be everything to each other. I'm not going to fight you on custody, she said before I could even start. That threw me. What does that mean? I mean, I'll do whatever's best for Sophie. If you want her more, you should have her more. I don't trust myself right now. Not with choices. Not with men. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see a villain. I saw someone who was just lost. We'll do shared custody, I said. But she stays here. In her home. I'll move into a place nearby. Keep things normal, as much as possible. Amy nodded. She looked relieved. Then she said, I never stopped loving you, you know. And maybe that was true. Maybe some part of her always would. But the love wasn't enough anymore. Not after everything. I believe that, I told her. But I don't think you ever respected me. And that's where we broke. She cried then. Quiet, raw tears. I didn't comfort her. I couldn't. Not anymore. Weeks passed. The papers were drawn up. I signed them without ceremony. We kept it civil, for Sophie's sake. Amy started seeing a therapist. I saw one too. Not because I needed help understanding her, but because I needed help understanding how I missed the signs in myself. It's been a year since then. Sophie's thriving. She's in kindergarten now, obsessed with dinosaurs and spelling words she makes up. Amy and I communicate through a shared parenting app. We're friendly. We're not friends. As for Mark, he didn't last. I heard they fizzled out after a couple of months. Something about him not liking baggage. Imagine that. I'm dating someone now. Slowly. Carefully. She's kind, quiet, and makes Sophie laugh so hard she snorts. Sometimes I look at my daughter and wonder what she'll remember of all this. Probably not the conversations or the crying, but maybe she'll remember the rocket ship, the pancakes, the feeling that her dad listened when it mattered. That's all I can hope for. And if you ever find yourself brushing off something your kid says because it seems silly, listen twice. They see more than you think. Thanks for hearing me out.